everybody, welcome to UK Gaming Network. I'm Brian, also known as UK Gen Zoidberg, and this is Best 10, where I offer up our favourite games to fit a selected theme. As a gamer growing up in the 1980s, my home computer of choice was a ZX Spectrum, and so that meant that I played a lot of games by a company called Imagine Software. Now at the time, I had no idea who the company were, or their history. I just saw their logo crop up a lot on game boxes and on title screens. Turns out it was actually two companies, because in 1984, when the original company found itself in financial difficulty, Ocean Software swooped in and bought the rights to use their name, and used it as their secondary label, primarily for arcade conversions. In this video, I'm going to rank my 10 favourite games to carry the Imagine name. As always, this is merely my own personal opinion and a bit of fun, and there are probably going to be games that you think I've missed. Please feel free to let me know what those are in the comments. Now though, without further ado, let's start the list with my number 10. Based on a bizarre 1984 arcade game from Konami, Mikey is a game all about trying to bunk off school in order to deliver a letter to your girlfriend. This is done across 5 stages, as you avoid the patrolling teachers, janitors and the school cook. The Spectrum version was one of the first games by the late great Joffa Smith, and one that proved that he knew, without a doubt, what made addictive arcade games tick. Each of the 5 stages offers a slightly different challenge, and the game keeps looping until you run out of lives, making it an excellent score challenge game against your friends. The chiptune rendition of A Hard Day's Night on the title screen was surprisingly great too. Imagine released multiple games produced by the Spanish developer Dynamic Software. While much of their output was pretty forgettable, plagued by either horrendous colour clash or bad collision detection, sometimes both, Freddy Hardest was their finest release from that publishing deal. Like many of Dynamic's games, it was split into 2 distinct parts, with the first being an entertaining left-to-right platformer, and the second an arcade adventure with more exploration involved. Both played great and have a really good cartoon style to the graphics, the only drawbacks being that it's all over a bit too quickly and not very challenging. Basically the opposite of Dynamic's usual output. I ignored ping pong when it came out, wrongly thinking to myself, who would want to play a table tennis game? Years later, when I finally played it, I realised how wrong I was. I discovered an addictive and challenging sports game with a brilliantly simple control scheme that allowed for some deep and rewarding gameplay. Even as a single player game, there are 5 increasingly tough difficulty levels to try and beat, and I kept finding myself coming back to try and do so. There's only ever been one table tennis game that I've played since that topped it, and not judging a game until I've played it is a lesson that has stuck with me ever since. Arkanoid took the basic bat and ball gameplay of Breakout and spiced it up with power-ups. Bat extensions, extra lives, multi-balls and lasers are just some of the ones that you can catch as they fall, as long as you remember to keep an eye on the ball as well, that is. Despite being limited to keyboard or joystick controls, the Spectrum version worked very well indeed, and I can remember playing it a lot at the time of its release. The sequel, Revenge of Doe, went a little bit overboard on the monochrome backgrounds, which is why I prefer the first game. The action is much easier to follow with plain backgrounds, and the use of colour for everything else is excellent. To this day, I've never managed to play all 33 stages, but I always have fun trying. I still find it incredible that so many arcade racing games of the 1980s ended up with great versions on the Spectrum, especially when you compare them to their 16-bit counterparts. Enduro Racer, Chase HQ and Super Hang-On were all excellent, and the conversion of Konami's Vec Le Mans deserves to be up there with them. It's extremely playable, great fun, and throws around a lot on screen, providing a good sense of speed. If anything stops it being higher up this list, it's the lack of variety to the gameplay. Simply complete 4 laps and you're done, no more tracks. But it's hard to hold that against the game when the same is true of the arcade original that it's based on. Isometric games were incredibly common on the Spectrum, but Movie was unlike anything else I played. It's a film noir-inspired detective game where you play as a gumshoe named Jack Marlowe. While the objective is to retrieve an audio tape from a specified location, what makes the game unique is that it doesn't give you any guidance over how you go about doing it. The fun of the gameplay comes from experimenting with the controls and making discoveries all on your own. It was one of the first games that I ever bought based on a magazine review, as your Sinclair gave it 10 out of 10 for value for money. Even though I never finished it without a few tips and a guide, it was definitely money well spent. When Ocean picked up the rights to the arcade game Renegade, part of that deal was that they would be able to produce their own sequels. Target Renegade was the first of two that they created, and frankly, the less said about Renegade 3 the better. The key new feature that was added for this release was the 2-player mode, that allowed you and a friend to fight through the waves of goons together. The levels were also a lot longer than in the original, and more weapons could be picked up and used. It's still a great game all these years later, let down slightly by a musical score on the 128K version that feels completely out of place. Thankfully, you can switch it off though. Joffa Smith returns to our countdown once more, this time with an excellent conversion of Konami's Russian Attack arcade game, known in the UK as Green Beret. Whereas most games where you play as a lone soldier taking on waves of enemies would arm you with a gun, your only defence here, at least for the majority of the game, is a simple knife attack. The result is an incredibly addictive arcade game that you'll want to play over and over again. So much so that you'll probably end up hearing the alarm sound effect in your sleep. Some of the elements from this game were clearly used in Cobra, also programmed by Smith, released the same year.
Crash magazine readers voted Hypersports their sports game of the year in 1985, and I would actually go one further and say that it's actually the best sports game ever on the spectrum. Based on the Konami arcade game that followed up Track and Field with a more diverse selection of events, some of which have never been bettered in my eyes. Every multi-event sports game that I've played, from Summer Olympiad to Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, has found itself being compared to Hypersports, and many of them have come up short. Even today, when I can regularly play the arcade original, I'm amazed by how accurate of a conversion this was. Once again, it's a testament to Joffa Smith's amazing programming. As good as Target Renegade is, there's simply no beating the original Renegade in my eyes. There may only be 5 levels, but each one is a thrilling battle against the clock, as you try to take out the thugs without being overwhelmed by them before their boss enters the fight. It's great fun kicking one guy behind you, kneeing another one in the unmentionables, and then throwing someone off the end of a subway platform. It honestly never gets old. What's even more incredible is that they managed to make a game this good from an arcade original that's average at best. I would rather play this version any day. So those were my best 10 Spectrum games to come from Imagine Software. What were yours? Is there a game that you think I've missed off my list? Feel free to let us know what that is in the comments. Is there a subject that you'd like to see us cover in this series? Find the link to our Discord in the video description if you want to become part of our community, and while you're there, pop your ideas in the channel that we've set up specifically for your suggestions. Channel VIPs get to watch many of our videos earlier than anyone else, so you can find details of how to join below as well. The full playlist of previous episodes should be on screen now if you have missed any. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy retro gaming everybody. Bye for now.